Hello, I'm Keith and welcome to Home Media Minefield, helping you with information to navigate the complexities of home cinema and home media entertainment. Thank you for coming back to the channel. In today's episode, I'm going to look at the 4K UHD release of 1917, last year's World War I drama by Sam Mendes that follows two soldiers on a secret mission into no man's land. Entertainment One have done a very good job with the release of this, and we're going to break down into it now. So for the disc release itself, this comes as a 2-disc edition with a 4K UHD and Blu Ray version of the film. There is no digital copy included with this, however. Now this film is set up to support both HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision, so they've gone to lengths to make sure it's supported on both of those platforms in this particular release. So as far as the picture quality is concerned, to give you some background, this film was shot in 4.5K on Arri Alexa cameras, and the digital intermediate was 4K, so this totally warrants having a 4K UHD release for this. So I watched the Blu Ray and the 4K for comparison. It's fair to say that the Blu Ray edition, the HD version, does indeed look fine. What I looked for in the 4K version was in the high dynamic range to see if I could notice any differences there. Now obviously, being a World War I drama, this does deal with very earthy tones and colours, so it doesn't have a massive colour spectrum within this. But one of the things that I did notice was the contrast details in both the shadows and in the sky lines and the sky. The cloud details was much more noticeable on the 4K version, so I could really pick out things like that, and likewise extra details in the shadows. I also noticed that things like the flies around the corpses and the flare that is fired into the air also looked sharper on the 4K edition, although to be fair, those are probably digital elements that were added in the post process anyway. But yeah, as far as the visuals go on this, obviously it is a very visually impressive film anyway, but the picture quality fine in both the Blu-ray version and the 4K, but the high dynamic range definitely picked out more details for me. As far as the audio goes, I don't have a full Dolby Atmos setup here, or even a 7.1 come to that. So I wasn't able to fully explore those things, but I did notice that the audio was very sharp and clear. I could make out everything from dialogue, and I could also hear separation of some of the sound effects, like planes flying over or bullets flying past. All of this obviously backed up by a wonderful score by Thomas Newman. So again, I think that this disc has really gone to town in the delivery for the audio aspects as well. Now on to the special features, which are actually the same for both the 4K and the Blu-ray. It comes with quite a lot of special features. The most prominent from my perspective were the two audio commentaries. There was one audio commentary by director Sam Mendes and another audio commentary by director of photography Roger Deakins. So I listened to both of those. Sam Mendes' commentary, very personal, very much from the heart, incredibly informative. He tells you about all aspects of the production, and he really does give credit to everyone involved in this film. A lot of detail has gone into on this. For anybody interested in filmmaking, Sam Mendes does indeed give a very informative and useful and interesting audio commentary, so that is worth checking out. With the Roger Deakins commentary, that, as you probably expect, is a little bit more technical, very much focused on camera and lighting, as it would be, and it goes into a lot of detail as to the choice of the camera they used, the different types of rigging that they used for the camera movement, and obviously creating this simulated one-shot type of photography, and how they went about lighting that in the various locations. It does of course give away a lot of the movie magic as well, because he points out all of the areas where there are cuts, joins or stitches of these different shots together and how they accomplish those. And he also talks about how they digitally removed some of the cranes and rigs in post-production. It does also talk about the psychology of some of the shots used as well, which I found very interesting. So I found it fascinating to watch, to be perfectly honest. But like I said, he does give away a lot of the movie magic in doing so. The rest of the special features basically comprise as to about 40-45 minutes of behind the scenes featurettes. Although very informative, I was somewhat disappointed, as I thought a project like this film and the undertaking of this film would have definitely warranted a full feature-length behind-the-scenes documentary. But sadly, we don't get that here. As I said, we get a series of featurettes, which, although very informative, I was hoping for a little bit more. Much of what is discussed in them are similar stories to what was discussed in the commentaries. However, in this case, it's nice to see some of the behind the scenes information as well. So those break down into a number of featurettes. First up is a 5-minute piece called The Weight of the World, and this is where Sam Mendes talks about the origins of this, how he came about it, how personal it is to him. It started from a very personal story told by his grandfather when he was a kid, and it goes right the way through the whole process, working with his producer Pippa Harris and what he was going to do as his next project, and taking on the task of actually writing something as well as directing, and his collaboration with Kristen Wilson-Cairns to come up with the screenplay for this. So as I said, it gives a lot of information as to the genesis of this project, some of which he discussed in the audio commentary, but some of this is new as well and features interviews from producer Pippa Harris and co-screenwriter Kristen Wilson-Cairns. Next up is a 12-minute featurette called Allied Forces, which is the making of 1917, and this one basically takes you through the entire production from concept to completion. And again, it's very interesting. It has interviews from all of the people in key roles behind the scenes, from everything from planning and the logistics of such a shoot like this, right the way through to discussing equipment and cameras chosen, working with actors, and you know, covers the vast logistics involved from everywhere from the River Lees to the Glasgow docks to the Salisbury Plains, and everything that was involved in putting that together. 2 sets that were constructed, and goes into much detail on this. So a decent behind the scenes footage documentary. I just wish it could have been a little longer. Next up is a 5-minute documentary called The Score, which features Thomas Newman, long-time collaborator with Sam Mendes and composer for this film. Very good. You get to see scoring sessions with him and a full orchestra, so very good to see that, and hear him talk about the weight that the score had to take on in light of the narrative that they chose to do with this film. Again, very interesting. You see the spot sessions with the orchestra behind the scenes, the scoring sessions. So again, a nice insight as to the post-production process on this film. Next is a 7-minute featurette called In the Trenches, which is mainly about working with the actors. This features interviews with George MacKay and Dean Charles Chapman, who play Schofield and Blake, the main 2 protagonists of this film, and working with them and how they developed a bond and a relationship and a chemistry for on screen, and also credits all of the various day players and working with some of the named actors, the likes of Colin Firth, Andrew Scott, Mark Strong and Benedict Cumberbatch. So again, good to see this. And rounding out the special features is a 10-minute featurette called Recreating History, which deals with the production design elements by Dennis Gassner, who again has worked with Sam Mendes previously. They talk about everything from the planning this out, first on paper, then with miniatures, before actually going ahead and building trenches and war-torn, French villages, etc., which are needed for the film. But again, it goes into some depth on this, and it's nice to visit the locations behind the scenes and listen to Dennis talk about his craft. So another good piece to round this set off. And that pretty much rounds out the 4K UHD Blu Ray edition of 1917. It is widely available on all formats currently, and I believe there is a special Steelbook edition available in the US. I believe that's one of those Best Buy exclusives. And over here in the UK, HMV are doing a Digibook exclusive under their edition range. So that brings me to the end of another home media minefield. If you found this information useful, please do like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss anything, and please do share and spread the word. I am a new channel and obviously I need help to try and grow this, so please follow on the various social medias, etc. If you've got any questions or anything in particular that you'd like me to review, please put a comment in the show notes below and I will answer those and add any films onto the schedule and try and get to those in good time. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your time today, and I will speak to you next time. Thanks. So if you're still watching, thank you very much for still being here. A little bit of bonus content. Between recording that and now, I've managed to get hold of the HMV Limited Digibook of 1917, which is part of their e-edition series. It's rather nicely packaged, so I thought I'd show that. I've got some close-up shots as well. It's got this J card, which I always never really know what to do with. Very nice too. It contains essentially the same discs, the 4K and the Blu-ray that I've reviewed, but it also has this lovely little booklet with some colour stills from the film and a few quotes from Sam Mendes and Roger Deakins. So as I said, all nicely packaged in this exclusive artwork. So I just thought I'd show you that. It's a nice edition. It's also very nicely packaged. It's got this exclusive artwork, everything plain except the title on the spine, and yeah, works rather nicely. So that is a limited edition that's here in the UK. According to the HMV website, this is limited to 2,000 copies. So, but it is still available as of recording this video, because it's available to buy on there. I believe in the US there is a Best Buy have a Steelbook edition as well, but I have to say I actually prefer the Digibooks even over a Steelbook personally. But anyway, if you are still listening, I also thought I would do a bit of a competition as well. So the my 4K UHD and Blu Ray that I've previously shown, I'm going to give that away. Literally, I've just watched the Blu-ray and the 4K disc once each, to do the review on it. So it's only unsealed as far as that is concerned. Obviously, if you don't have a 4K UHD player at the moment, you've still got the Blu-ray disc in here as well, which is included. I got it from Amazon and they didn't send a slip cover with it, unfortunately, so it is as seen here. Before I ask the question, just some rules to qualify for this. So in order to do it, you need to be subscribed to my channel. You need to like and make a comment on this video, please. You also need to like and share on my Instagram page and on my Facebook Home Media Minefield page. And the way I'm going to do it, the first person that can message me, direct message me via the Facebook Home Media Minefield page will be the winner. So it's whoever's lasted this long and seen this first will be the winner of this. And the question is, most of this film takes place in real time, with the exception of one time jump partway through it, but essentially it all takes place within a day, obviously in the year 1917. But I want to know, what date in 1917 did Schofield and Blake set off on the mission? So as I said, the first person to direct message me on my Facebook page, after having liked, subscribed, shared, and you know, done the other bits and pieces there, I will you know, get the address details from and send you 1917 on 4K and Blu Ray. So there you go. I hope it was worth sticking around. Anyway, thank you ever so much for your time. Thank you for staying here this long. Please do like, share, comment, all of that stuff, and I will see you next time. Thank you.